right, is this our last day? Barcelona?
Well, I mean,
It's
we
the
leave tomorrow.
Yeah,
last
so
full day.
Yeah, last full day. So we're getting to the end of the vacation. Unfortunately for the wife. So what are we doing today?
We are going for a tour of the Gothic area, the old city center.
Okay.
And then we're gonna do a tapas and wine tour.
What time is the tapas tour?
In the evening, 6:30, something like that.
Oh, 6:30 at night.
So
Okay.
we're gonna eat. I'm gonna drink. It's gonna be a good night.
Okay. Cool. All right, let's do it.
It's custard.
Yeah, notice.
What I had in Italy, remember?
Nice breeze. Perfect morning for exploring Barcelona. How's everyone doing? Good?
Good.
Great even. Well, that's what I want to hear. So let's get to know each other. I think that's always nicer when it's not just the guide and the people on the tour. I prefer when we're like a family or friends having an experience together exploring Barcelona. So I'm going to ask you 2 questions, and they're very easy and you'll be able to answer them without Googling. The first question is where you're coming from, and the second question is what brought you to Barcelona. Easy, yeah? I'll give you some time to think about it and I'll start to let you breathe in and breathe out. You guys have been just on your way. So, my name is Jana. It's spelled J-A-N-A in not a very typical Spanish way, and there's a very simple reason for that. I'm not Spanish. I was born and raised in the country with the highest consumption of beer per capita in the world. Any guesses?
Germany.
So Germany does very good marketing about their beer drinking, but they're nowhere close to us. But they're next to us geographically, so it's the neighboring country to where I'm from. Well done, you guys got it. The Czech Republic or Czechia. Prague, the capital city, is where I was born. Anyone been? Yes? So you learned the hard way about beer being cheaper than water. Really good, but I personally really don't like it, so I was born in the wrong country. And they kicked me out for ruining their statistics. So I moved to Barcelona not because of beer. It started way before I was even legally allowed to drink beer. I was about this size, 10 years old. My parents brought me to Spain on vacation. Such a good idea. And it completely backfired on them. I didn't want to go back. I was crying, I was screaming, I was begging them to stay. And of course they were not going to just stay in Spain. So we went back home, I finished my studies, finally got my master's, and started working at a corporate job. But every summer while I was getting my degree, I was spending in Spain in different parts, learning Spanish, kind of getting used to the idea of moving eventually. And when I was working in my corporate job, that you know, the voice was there, banging the back of my head. Just go already, just leave. You've been wanting to do this your whole life. So I quit my job and booked a one-way ticket from Prague to Barcelona, just to try it. Came with one suitcase, and that was 10 years ago. I'm still here, 10 years later, thank you so much. I've been doing tours for a living for 9 years out of the 10, so most of the time I'm doing this. And yeah, sharing my obsession about Barcelona with you guys. So that's my story, long story short. All right, now who wants to start? Maybe from this side, is it okay?
Sure.
Yeah? Awesome.
My name is James, I'm from the United States, and this is just part of my traveling destination.
Great, nice. How long have you been wanting to come here?
Well, we have a list of places that we've been, so this was just, Europe was one of the places that we checked off, and Spain was included in that, so I guess maybe a couple of years now.
Yeah, very good. Happy to have you here.
Thank you.
I'm Fernanda, I'm from Mexico.
Barcelona was a small military camp founded by the Romans. So the Romans, they always went around building stuff. They were very good builders. And they were so good that actually parts of the original settlement is still standing 2,000 years later. We're gonna go check out some of the fortification bits and pieces of the wall that are still there. I think it's really fascinating. Maybe less so if you've just been to Rome, then it's not as crazy exciting, but it still is, I think. 2,000 years still there. So this is how it all started. Barcelona was a small little military camp, and then it started growing. And what we see next is the second outline, the second circle. You can see that's a lot bigger, but still not so big, right? Compared to today's size, which is all of it, it's still kind of a small town. So this is what we call the old town. So when you say, I want to go explore the old city, the old town, you're going to be in here somewhere in this section. And that's where we'll be spending our time. We're not leaving the old town. This is the old town walk. And so most of this development, most of the growth happened throughout the Middle Ages. So 13th century, 14th century. We'll see those beautiful narrow alleyways and those medieval houses. It stayed like that until the 19th century. So even in the 1850s, it was still just that size. This here was nothing. This was farmland. I'm going to show you a fun picture. How many of you guys have been to La Sagrada Familia already? Quite a few. Yeah, the famous church. Not yet. It's our first day. It's your first day. That's amazing. We're doing this first. I feel honored. So La Sagrada Familia, but we all know what it is, right? It's the super mega famous church by Gaudi, La Sagrada Familia. So I'm going to show you how La Sagrada Familia was started, because it was literally started in that farmland. When I said there was nothing, there literally was nothing. Just to give you an idea what that was. There you go. Some goats, some cows, and that's the beginning of it. Now, to show you what it looks like now, to compare, it looks like this. That's very different. No more cows. Very nice, developed, modern neighborhood. And so that's this whole new section. Now let me explain what was going on. Por favor in Spanish. In Catalan? Siusplau. Speak Catalan already. You've been in Montserrat like 2 days and you're fluent. Siusplau. 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 Sounds a bit like s'il vous plaît.
Yeah.
Right? Siusplau. If it sounds too complicated, you can also say sisplau. Sisplau. That's the same thing. Sisplau or siusplau. So that's please. If you want to say thank you in Spanish. Thank you. Gracias. Perfect. In Catalan,
Say mercy.
exactly. You actually say it the same. You say merci. 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 You can say gracias, which is with an E instead of an A at the end. It sounds similar. It's a little more formal, gracias. But in the streets like this, if you just buy something in the shop and they give you the change, they say merci. So it's like in French, but not with the throat. Like, merci. It's like merci. Similar, not. So that's thank you. If you want to say hello in Spanish, hola, perfect. You guys get this one for free as a gift. It's the same in Catalan.
Yay.
So hola, you can't really go wrong with. If you want to say good morning in Spanish,
Buenos dias.
buenos dias. In Catalan, bon dia.
Bon dia.
Bon dia sounds very much
dia.
like Portuguese,
Yeah.
right? And if you want to say goodbye in Spanish,
Adios.
adios, perfect. In Catalan, adeu, A-D-E-U, adeu. They almost sing it. It's almost like, like the song, deu, deu. So it's like adeu. As long as you don't say hasta la vista, baby, you're gonna be fine with whichever. No one really says that. It's really only in the movie. And we actually dub everything on television here.
Yeah.
So if you watch the movie, The Terminator, in the dubbing, they don't say hasta la vista in that bit. They actually use Japanese. So Arnold Schwarzenegger speaks Spanish the whole time, and then he says, sayonara, baby, instead of hasta la vista, baby. So
That's
you
funny.
don't even understand the reference because they never heard it on television. So now you know how to say hi, good morning, please, thank you, goodbye. It's a good start. You guys can impress local people.
Yeah.
So many shots, you're gonna be getting them everywhere. And there's gonna be a test at the end. If you guys fail the test, you have to come back tomorrow again, redo the war. Like the restaurant. Santa Maria means Saint Mary del Mar of Sea. So this is the Church of the Sea. Like I said in the beginning, it's really good. Further now, it's reclaimed land and it's been many, many centuries, but that's why they made it like this. Now, if you ask the people here about this church, most people will be so excited to tell you. This is 19th century in Roman numerals on the plaque. They had like a newspaper article from the opening. We used to have it in the window. We don't anymore, but that was 18th century. At first they were making different things. They were making like candy, syrup, like cider syrup and rose water. And they had these kind of bottles everywhere. And then they slowly started making pastries. And they've been making pastries for centuries. I mean, it's spectacular. So if you guys wanna, if you were kind of like, can we grab something? If you want to grab something, we can take a quick break. If not, you can pin it for future happiness. Totally up to you. This is your tour. I will not tell you cannot have candy. I would never be that person. And everything's yummy. Everything's yummy. You don't have to worry. They know what they're doing. They've had plenty of practice. renovation.
They went bigger.
It's like go big or go home, right? So the reason for the renovation was that in 1888, Barcelona was hosting the World Expo, the Universal Exhibition, this big World's Fair. You know, they're still doing them. And so this was 1888. To put it into perspective for you guys, 1889, 1 year later, they were hosting the same event, the World Expo, in Paris, and that's when the Eiffel Tower was built. So this was 1 year before. They wanted to do something big, of course. So the idea was to just put a new front over the old facade. So it's on top of it. It's kind of just, you know, glued on top. And so you see, this is way more spectacular. They kind of just, in a very Spanish fashion, ended right there. It's like, whatever. Nobody can see that around the corner. But it shows us beautifully the side-by-side styles. And so what we said about the Gothic style, it's got the pointed arches, it's got the simple facades, not overly ornate. This here looks like Gothic on steroids, right? So that name they decided not to go with, so they named it instead Neo-Gothic. Neo-Gothic, so it's like new Gothic, like bringing the old Gothic back to life and making it a lot more spectacular with a lot more details. So that's the front versus the back and versus the side. This is the only cathedral we have in Barcelona. There's normally just one per city. Do you know why? No? It's the seat of the bishop, and there's only one bishop, so you don't really need more than one. It gets very confusing because we have Sagrada Familia, which is very often called the Gaudi Cathedral. It's not a cathedral. And there's the Santa Maria del Mar church we saw earlier. There's actually a Netflix series about that church called the Cathedral of the Sea. And it's not a cathedral, so just this one is a cathedral. Back to the, oh, was that a bird or was that rain? Something fell on my head. Rain from nothing. Oh, the bubbles, that's okay, as long as it's not a bird. Although they say if it's a bird, it's good luck, so either way. I just wanted to mention, because I didn't tell you guys earlier, the church we went inside, Santa Maria del Mar, the Netflix series, you can actually look it up on Netflix, Cathedral of the Sea. It's about that church, about Barcelona in the 14th century. It's historical fiction, so there's a lot of history, and there's a fictional storyline of the family, so you can check it out. These guys are going to be loud, so I'll be quick. Just wanted to say this one doesn't have a free slot to enter like the one we saw earlier. So in my personal humble opinion, if you don't have the budget and the time, I would skip it. It's €9 to enter, and it's not really that spectacular. Sagrada Familia is the one you should see. That's like no other church. And Santa Maria del Mar you've seen already. So you have two churches. That's like more than enough, I would say. If you want to go, definitely go, but it's not a disaster if you don't go. That's what I would say. As an alternative, there's a rooftop bar up there.
I know, I saw that.
Right? You guys have a good eye, right? So that place is where you can get the best view of it. It's really beautiful. And, you know, as an alternative to paying €9 to enter, or €9 to have a drink there, I would say, not giving you any ideas, but you have some options. Political center of Barcelona now. This is where protests happen all the time. Generally, every day there's a protest. Usually not very large or anything, but it's the perfect place to do it because this is the government of Catalonia and this is the city hall of Barcelona. So we have the mayor on this side and then the president of Catalonia on the other side. So it's the perfect place to protest. Now, the flags we saw earlier, they're beautifully flying there. You see all of them, and the independence flag over there. Those guys showing everyone they would like to separate it. So I promised you that if you guys want, we can talk a bit more about the whole politics and the situation here, what's going on with the independence. Basically, the closest they ever could get to some kind of independence happened only 6 years ago. 2017, 1st of October, there was a referendum. The way it works, it's very simple. There's a constitution, like most countries. You can have a referendum, but you're not allowed to unilaterally vote for your own independence. Otherwise, I mean, that would simply not work. So they were allowed to host a referendum. They did. They had 43% participation, so not the majority. And then of those who participated, 92% voted yes for separation, which kind of shows it's mostly the ones who wanted the independence. They showed up, they went to the vote, the rest didn't go. So it was about 36% in total for yes for independence. It should have ended there, it didn't. The former government with the former president of Catalonia, Carles Puigdemont is his name. He's actually the man in the poster there. He decided to speak with the press, like, well, they expected that he would just say this is the result of the referendum and life goes on, but instead he decided to forget how math works, and he went to speak with the international press and he said 92% of Catalans voted yes for independence, and on the basis of our majority vote, we're now declaring an independent country.
Nice try.
Nice try. So that actually escalated very quickly, and the central government of Spain fired the local government of Catalonia. Not only fired, but also arrested. They got arrested, he ran away, went to Belgium. Belgium seems to be a good place to be. They have chocolate, they have beer, they have waffles, and they have political asylum. So that's where he went. He's still there. Currently technically supposed to be tried for certain things. Officially in the beginning he was supposed to be charged with sedition, rebellion and misuse of public funds. The rest of his cabinet actually got tried. They went on trial and they got arrested. I mean they got sentenced to, in the beginning, what everyone thought would be around 10 to 15 years in prison. That's a big deal. We're talking political prisoners in the 21st century Spain. That's what started those big protests. You may have seen that on television all over the world. There were a lot of those independence flags in the streets. And it was not only because they wanted more independence, but it was also because people were just trying to get freedom for the political prisoners. So there was a lot of that happening just after that October 2017 vote. Eventually, they got released after 2 years, so they didn't have to serve, otherwise they would still be in prison because it's only been 6 years. After 2 years they got pardoned by Spain, and there's no more people in prison now in relationship with the vote. But it's obviously a complicated topic, a complicated situation, having quite a large amount of people. If you think about it, even 30 to 40% is still a chunk. It's more common outside of the city. In Barcelona you don't really feel it as much as if you go elsewhere in the countryside. There's a lot more of those flags, a lot more people speaking Catalan, more people wishing for independence. It's complicated. There are a lot of reasons why they want it. They've been obviously different for centuries. They have their own identity. They also have a lot of money here. The GDP of Catalonia is the highest in Spain, together with the Basque region in the north, which also has their own independence movement. They also had a complicated time with Franco. That's the most recent, but it's not the only time it happened. Franco, when he was in charge until 1975, wouldn't allow them during the dictatorship to speak the language, to have local traditions. They couldn't dance those dances we just saw. La Sardana was prohibited. They couldn't build human towers because it was prohibited. It was all this kind of oppression until 1975. So there's a lot of broken heart feelings towards Spain and towards Franco. There he is. So this guy is it's kind of one-man show protest. He comes here every day and he shouts a little bit about, you know, freedom for independence, and he says that Spain is a fascist country and stuff like that. So today you're really getting everything live. You got sardanas live, you got a procession live. So yeah, the last thing you're saying is long live free Catalonia. So that's life here. It was a pretty good performance, right?
But Afrikaans is I'm glad they had that first time. But if you go outside, you go to a restaurant, it will be in English.
All right. Okay, we got two more waiting. We're coming. In Raval, over the other side of La Rambla, it's more where you find prostitution.
Yeah.
It's yeah. The police know about that.
Right, it's legal in Australia too.
Yeah.
Like shit. They can help control it a little more.
Yeah.
Safety.
I guess it's better. If you make it illegal, people will do it. Anyway.
Yeah, they're gonna do it anyway.
They're
So
gonna do it in more shady
and
ways
it's like
and more sketchy.
the oldest job in history, right?
Exactly.
Oh, it smells delightful down here.
Oh, yeah. The Barcelona fragrance.
Yep. Every city's favorite fragrance.
Unexpected. How unexpected was this plaza after that very aromatic street that was very narrow? And then suddenly, wow, it opens up like this. It's huge. So this is Plaza Real. And we are, in terms of where on the map, we are next to La Rambla.
Oh.
That's La Rambla, Las Ramblas. That's, I guess, where you guys are. So that's the most famous street in all of Barcelona. It's in all the guidebooks, on all the list of must-see. And I'll tell you something about it. It's a little bit like Times Square in New York, which is not a compliment. Yes. It's famous for being famous, and it's full of people. They're pickpockets because no local would ever voluntarily spend a significant time on the street. We do cross it if we need to get from A to B, but it's not really what it used to be. It used to be that promenade where you would walk and there were lots of nice restaurants and stuff. Nowadays, no local would ever go voluntarily to eat on La Rambla. So if you guys want to be like the locals, do not eat in the restaurants of La Rambla. It's like people from New York would never eat in Times Square. So it's the same thing. The one example of an exception on the street is the market, La Boqueria, the food market. It's not open today because it's Sunday, but it will be open from tomorrow onwards. That's okay. You can go and spend as much time as you want in there. But the restaurants really aren't worth your money.
This street or the street
That
behind
one,
it?
that one, the one with the lights, the one with the traffic. So there's traffic on the sides, and then the middle section is pedestrian. So that's La Rambla, and it goes like that down to the water and up to Plaza Catalunya. It's about 1.2 kilometers, and yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's nothing wrong with it. It's just where it is. It's going a little bit further out. That became this beautiful destination, this famous city. And I want to go a little bit back in time. I mentioned Franco and the Spanish Civil War, where it all started. And then Franco really didn't allow the people to be themselves. And so that was almost 40 years of that, 1939 to 1975. So just so you can imagine what they had to go through, we spoke about it. They were not allowed to speak the language, not allowed to have any local traditions, living under a dictator for such a long time. When he died, 1975, it was like a finally celebration. Yeah, like finally something changed. A new future was coming, and they wanted something good for themselves, and they were excited for whatever was coming for the future. And they were lucky because something big came. 1986, the city was chosen to be the next host of the Summer Olympics. 1992 was the year, and so that left 6 years to get ready. And these guys worked hard. If you imagine any kind of city that hosted Olympics and how many changes and how many volunteers, you can multiply it by several digits, I think. It was incredible, the amount of people that really wanted to be part of it. It was like the whole city just came together and they all wanted to be part of it. I want to show you one big change, the beach. Anyone been to the beach already? Not yet? Happy? So that was the beach before the Olympics. It's almost impossible to imagine that this was almost like a slum. There were no palm trees there. You see there are none. The sand is just about. It's not like the 5 kilometers that we have now, wide, beautiful beaches with palm trees everywhere. They had to clean it all out. They actually brought sand from Egypt. Thank you very much for donating sand. So that's Egyptian sand on the beach in Barcelona. They also brought palm trees. So palm trees are not native to Barcelona, not a single one. So those ones that you'll see not in this photo, but in reality when you go down to the beach, they've all been imported. So that was a massive change because the city, essentially before the Olympics, didn't take advantage of the location being on the sea. Now it's such a front, not front page, but you know what I'm trying to say, kind of like the main focal point I wanted to say. So that's the idea with the changes. The city really turned around and so many places got beautified, let's say. Then the Olympics were finally hosted on the mountain of Montjuic, which is a beautiful spot where if you go you'll see amazing views of the whole city. You'll still find the stadium, the swimming pool, all of that there. And this was the picture from the Olympics in Barcelona, La Sagrada Familia there in the back. This girl in the picture, she was an absolute prodigy. She was 13. This is a 13-year-old Chinese girl who got a gold medal for this in Barcelona in 1992. I mean, where do you go from there? If you get a gold Olympic medal at the age of 13, you're done. It's kind of, I mean, what else? You just go every year and try to get another one. So this was the poster for the Olympics. This was all over the news, all over the media, and everyone was so impressed with the way the city presented itself to the world. Those who came here to participate or to watch the Olympics, they were so impressed. They told all their friends, their families, and I mean, if this is not good marketing, I don't know what is. But also word of mouth is the perfect marketing. So that is really what put Barcelona on the map. It finally became a destination, bless you, that people started even thinking of as a place to visit. And so that's only been 30 years, 31 since 1992. And Barcelona is now in the top 5 most visited cities in Europe. And so that is an example of what the Olympics can do to a city. It's also more fascinating even when you know the other 4 in the top 5 because they're all capital cities except Barcelona. London, Paris, Rome, Amsterdam. And then there's Barcelona. It's not Madrid, it's Barcelona. So it's really...
And they kept it up. They still, you watching a documentary where it says countries that host it, it looks terrible now. Like they didn't keep up. They put in all that work and now it's run down.
They did it really well. They were really thinking. They were using their brain to really do it properly, because this all of the stuff pretty much was done in a way that could be reused.
Okay.
So the Olympic Village where the athletes were staying, they're now condos, people live there. The stadium is used for events, for concerts. The swimming pool is open to public. It's all working, it's all kind of been incorporated into the city. So really the investment they've got it all back.
We saw it in France. It looked run down and abandoned.
Yeah, some of them are like barely leaving, it's desolate. You got empty swimming pools, empty buildings.
1,000 years of history of Barcelona, from a little Roman settlement to today. Thank you guys. You were wonderful. It was a pleasure to spend the morning with you. And I hope you feel like you've been introduced to Barcelona. You will understand the city more, the people and the layout and everything. If you have any questions, even if they don't come up to you now and then you're like, oh, I wish I would have asked, you can always text us. You know, we have the group chat or the individual chat. So if you need any help, let us know. We're not leaving, just physically, but not really. And we'll send you also some recommendations. There's an automatic message coming soon, may have already been sent, with restaurants that we like, favorite ice cream places, favorite cafes, and some tips and tricks and stuff like that. So that's also going to be sent in the chat. And that's basically all for me. Thank you guys once again so much. I'll give you some general directions so you know how to get out of here. That way is to the beach. Actually, first you will reach the harbor. That takes 5 minutes, 7 minutes. You'll be down on the waterfront, you'll by the harbor. You can just continue along the marina, you get to the beach. Then that way you have La Rambla, so that's for the walk to tick it off your list and keep your bags close when you go there. That's also where you can find the closest metro, the underground public transport, 2 minutes that way. So you exit there to the right and you're on the green line. Anywhere on the Rambla you'll get plenty of taxis, so it's not an issue. Just look for the one with the green light. That's the one that can take you. If they don't have the light on, they're going somewhere or they're occupied. And then this way is back to the Gothic quarter and the Born, so the old section. And then up that way is to Plaza Catalunya, the kind of main central plaza. And then on the other side of Plaza Catalunya is the new town, the extension. So that's where we can go for that. And we also do a Gaudi walk if you guys want to see the works of Gaudi, his architecture, Casa Batlló, Casa Mila, Sagrada Familia. It is in the welcome message or in the second message there is a link, or if you just click on our profile you'll see the different walks that we do, so of course you're more than welcome to join for that. I think now I'm going to shut up.
Is it a skip the line? Do you have a skip the line?
We don't go inside because each building has a ticket and each building is about 30 euros, so we would have to charge 200 euros for that. So we just walk you around from the outside, tell you all the stories and fun facts. And then if you want to go inside Sagrada Familia, you can book skip the line. They're all skip the line, by the way. That's marketing. There's no such thing as non-skip the line. Everyone who's selling you a skip the line ticket is just selling you a regular ticket. They're all skip the line tickets. There's no other way. Because you're booking a slot. So you're booking 3:15 or 3:30 and then you go for that slot and you go in right away. There's no line.
I'm feeling selfish, 'cause I just want days like this forever. Now I can't pull myself together. Feel like this nicer weather won't last. Go so fast.
Little seats.
A big sangria. All right, well, we just finished our, Gothic Quarter, Old Town tour with Jana.
How long was it? It was 2 hours?
2.5 hours. It was an Airbnb experience, really reasonably priced. I think that's probably why I picked it.
but worth every penny. So much fun, so much information, from about 2,000 years worth of information, from the Romans to pre-Gothic to Gothic to pre-Renaissance, post-Renaissance to current political status of Catalonia and their fight for independence from Spain, which is rather interesting, but probably not going to happen. Yeah, it was really good. We got to see a couple different churches. Santa Maria del Mar, which is Santa Maria, which all the churches of Spain are named, and Del Mar means the sea. And they built it by hand back in the day. The local people wanted a church, and they couldn't afford to do their own, so they all got together and built their own, which is really cool. Then we saw the Cathedral of Barcelona, which was Gothic and really cool. And then they prefabbed the front back in the 1800s, which was interesting to make it look more spectacular, neo-Gothic. And yeah, we just kind of toured in old lanes. We saw an old prostitute's home, business, with a face that points to it, which is really cool. And really enjoyed our time. It was awesome.
And now we're the name of the restaurant, I can't pronounce it. I took a picture of it, but she recommended this place, right?
Yeah, this quarter at least, come to the square, and yeah, we're sitting at little children's tables. Even my knees are almost touching the tables. His knees can't go under the table, which is interesting.
Yeah, all the tables are tiny.
They're super tiny, but it looks interesting. And we got a couple burgers. I got a chicken burger, we got a regular burger, some nachos, and some sangria, which, you know, when in Barcelona. And then we're just gonna continue to wander and see what we come across until we go to our tapas tour tonight.
Oh, guacamole is awesome. They didn't get it from Costco.
It's like
The bun is really good.
grilled onions.
Yep, Havarti cheese.
Oh, it's like
Chicken.
it's a chicken burger.
That's right, we want to go everywhere.